welcome to Today at the Races, and happy Thursday and happy turf season, Tim. We are outside celebrating it here today in Maryland.
Yes, we finally got outside the dreary confines of our winter studio, and boy, what a weekend of racing we have ahead today. First of all, race 6, carryover, almost 16,000 in the Super High 5 jackpot. We get our first turf race today, which is a great race in race 8. Tomorrow we have a nice card, 3 good allowance races. Of course, Saturday, Tessio Day, 11 race card, 4 stakes, turf racing galore, and of course it's Beat the Expert day, Saturday. I'm not sure who the expert is this week, but we'll figure that out.
We will.
But if you do beat the expert, you get this good looking shirt and you can wear it as a badge of honor, because there it is, Beat the Expert right there. So that's on Saturday. That's not even including Sunday. That's just the first 3 days of the weekend. We got it going on.
We have a lot going on here now that we're kicking back into the green season, and take a look at it. Things are looking good out there, Tim. We have a wonderful day. It's going to be in the lower mid 80s all throughout the day today, Tim. What a wonderful day of racing it's
Yeah, look
be.
at the turf course. Turf course is looking great. The main track was in excellent condition this morning during training, and it will continue through this afternoon. But we got a nice card, Callie. We should probably get going.
Let's kick into it. It starts here in this early pick 5 in race number 1 in this claiming 10,000, which have never won 2, going 6 furlongs here on the dirt. Tim, you have the number 6 on top. Patriotic Party for Damon Diodvico gets the blinkers off today, and Axel Concepcion on.
Yeah, dropping for the 3rd consecutive time this afternoon, but this is a spot that should work. It should be well placed from the outside, I would think. When you go back and you look at his best races back this past fall, he was going 5.5 and 7/8 of a mile. He was pretty well placed, especially going 7/8 of a mile. I would expect the same thing, especially against this softer group this afternoon. And he's taking yet another significant drop.
He is. You also have the number 4 underneath his Royal G for Jose Magna, a barn that's been a little bit warming, kind of under the radar type of barn. So that's a good pick at 5-1.
Yeah, small outfit, but they do a really good job. This one's turning back in distance this afternoon while dropping to the lowest level of his career. This is another one that could be trying for the lead, because if you look back at his Delaware races last spring and summer, he was right up in and amongst it, and those were the 2 best races of his life, running back-to-back 65 Beyer speed figures, that or 60 and 65. That could get it done here this afternoon.
Absolutely could. We'll see if he gets back into that, but same tall, it goes 6-4-1-7 there in that first leg of the early pick 5. But let's talk about the first leg of the early pick 4. Tim, instead of Keith, you've got a lovely ticket for us today. Single right away and take it away.
Yeah, put me in, coach. I'm coming off the bench. I'm going to single on my best bet of the day. We'll talk about that later. That is the 7 Majestic Frontier for Jerry Robb. In race 3, I'm going to spread in that maiden event 1, 6, 8, 9, or race 4. That's a nice state bred allowance race. I use a 1, 2, and 3. And in race number 5, I use 3 again. That's another race, allowance race. I'm going to use the 1, 2, and 7. I got the race 4 was a claiming event, but 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 7. $18 ticket, early pick 4.
Which does start in this claiming 16,000, which have never won 3, a 1-turn mile on the dirt. Let's go ahead and kick in to your best bet of the day in Majestic Frontier. Let's go ahead and take a look at that video of last time out.
I thought this was a really, really good race. We're picking up at the top of the stretch. He had been last all the way around there. He gets up the fence here. He's drawn the rail. His last 2 starts, he gets toward the outside today. He's trying really hard toward the fence, gets in a little tight. You're going to see it coming up here, but still. He still keeps on trying the outside horse. Remembering Wilbur got a clean shot to the outside. I think it helps Majestic Frontier to be drawing a little bit toward the outside today. He's going to have to get away, but I like the outside draw for him today.
We'll see how it pans out for him, but who does draw the inside with the scratch of the number 1 True Dakotan is Aristocat, who you have underneath for Kieran McGee, gets Axel Concepcion here today. Going to be your front runner here in this race, how I perceive it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and he's getting a bunch of weight from this field. He's getting 11 pounds from half of the field. This will be first off the claim for Kieran McGee, returning at the same level. That's important. He brings him right back where he just had a really, really big race. Running just behind Majestic Frontier. As you mentioned, we'll be going to the front. Figures certainly hold up here. But I just think It changes a little bit. He had an inside draw last time. He did beat. He couldn't beat Majestic Frontier that particular day. I think Majestic Frontier gets a better draw this afternoon.
We'll see. We'll see how that pans out there. Tim Tulloch goes 7-2-5-6 with his best bet being the number 7, his single on his early pick 4 ticket. Yes, Majestic Frontier. Race number 3 kicks off the Rainbow pick 6. I've got a structure for you guys, and let's take a look at how I play it. We've got a carryover, of course, 4,436. That's going to be climbing by the time we get to race number 3. I go 3 deep here in this maiden claiming 30,000. 1, 2, 8. Race number 4. I had to pick a single somewhere. I could have added in another horse there in that claiming 12-5, but I go Then Come Morning for David Howard with J. Ron Barbosa, looking for an uptick in performance there. Race number 5 in that allowance that you talked about. I go 4 deep in 1, 2, 3. I add the 7 with Hard Spun Reason as well underneath him. And then in race number 6, 4, 5, 9 there in that allowance option claiming 55. I could have easily singled on Wonder Where Craig Is, but just in case, wanted to add in, I will need to fix that ticket because, Woody's still in today. Sorry, I was planning on Woody being a scratch, but no. Wonder Where Craig Is, Woody, and Baracho from the Nest Barn, just in case Craig needs one off of the layoff, but we'll get to that in a second. Race number 7, I go 5 and 6 there. The Frightland and Giardani. We have a video on Giardani coming up. And then in race number 8, 1, 5, 9 for a $43.20 ticket, which does kick off the Rainbow pick 6, which does start here in race number 3 in this maiden claiming 30,000, going 5.5 here on the dirt for the straight 3-year-old. Tim, let's go ahead and take a look at SS Sinatra. We're seeing the end of this, and I'll get to this in a bit, but didn't have the best break, and then comes up here today against Noah Chance.
Yeah, didn't get away the best 2 races ago, but look, this was a big field. This was a 11-horse field. He ran a really, really good race. This is from September 24th. He would run one more time before he went on the layoff. He tries all the way down here. He ends up running 3rd this particular day. He's getting a little bit of drop in class here today. He's getting Lasix for the first time this afternoon. And you have Ned Allard, who's very, very good in general. He's a very, very good trainer, but he's about 36% off this type of layoff. So as long as he gets away well, I think he'll have a good try of it this afternoon. The figures certainly work, especially that race 2 back.
Absolutely. So especially with what we saw, the horse didn't actually have a starter with him in the gate. He had a starter from the outside trying to get him straightened out, and it didn't work out. I thought that it wasn't a complete mess, but it could have gone a lot better in that start that we saw on the screen for SS Sinatra. Let's talk about the horse on the outside, though, with your exacta and dialer for Jamie Ness, Jamie Rodriguez. Clearly, we're going to see some improvement from that last time effort.
You have to. Dropping back down to the level where he made his debut, it was a good debut, and he only got beat 2.5 lengths while running 2nd. Has tried a little bit tougher his last couple races. Gets a good outside draw. I think this is good for him. We've seen Jamie Rodriguez and Ness. When they have a horse with a little bit of speed from the outside, they're very, very good. Jamie's very good at just kind of watching it all happen and then give him a really good shot to finish up. And if nothing's happening on the inside, he'll let him run on. But, yeah, Dialer's going to be very tough this afternoon, I would think.
Absolutely. So you go 8, 9, 6, 1 there in the start of the Rainbow Pick 6. Race number 4 is a claiming 12-5, going a mile and 16th on the dirt for the straight 3-year-old filly. Scratch in the 4, Rousey Express. Scratch in the 5, Jackson's Dixie. Let's talk about your value play of the day in Grass Cutter for Jerry Robb. Gets the weight off, 7 pounds off with Louis Rivera Jr.
Yeah, getting a little weight. I'm just going back to his race debut, her maiden breaking win 2 back, which was going 2 turns, a mile and a 16th. She was able to get to the front. That's what she gets here this afternoon. She's got a good inside draw. I think Louis Rivera will be firing her out of there, going to be getting to the lead, maybe a little pressure from other couple horses, but they're going to have to run a little bit, and I think it's just going to turn into a catch me if you can situation.
Especially with that gate speed in that aforementioned race you talked about 2 back in that first winning effort should hold up well for Grass Cutter. A good value play of the day. Let's talk about the number 2 who you have here in exacta. Then Come Morning for David Howard gets J. Ron Barbosa today.
Yeah, this is your top pick. I mean, look, it's coming out of a good, solid effort with a life best number in her last to start. 45 doesn't sound like a big number, but with this group, it's a good figure, and it can win. She's a winner over the course and distance, as she did 3 races ago. That was a good-looking maiden score. Now, she was clearly pounds the best. She won by 9 1/4, but she's another one. Maybe she tries to get to the front. Maybe she tries to outrun Grass Cutter. We'll have to see how Barbosa plays this one, but she's not going to be too far off for sure.
Her hand is pretty forced, so
it is pretty forced, no doubt.
It's pretty forced, so I'm just gonna see if that she's just to the inside of Grass Cutter. So it'll be, again, as you mentioned, it'll be interesting to see what Barbosa does with this assignment that he has with a David Howard trainee. You also include the number 1 underneath. Don't Tell Darren for the other Jerry Robb runner. Also getting weight off with Axel Concepcion.
Well, look, this one's recent form can't be much messier than it is, but is stretching out. First time for Jerry Robb, route to sprint to route, about 20%. 3 races ago wasn't a bad effort at this claiming 12.5 level while sprinting a couple other races last fall. That could work here. Really just taking a little bit of shot while I was in love with no one else after the top 2.
There we go, and there we have it for our first half of the card, and we will be right back after the break for the second half of Thursday's turf card.
And they're off.
Welcome back. We're going to go right into this restricted allowance, going 1 turn mile here on the dirt. Tim, you and I both have Baton underneath or on top for Mike Pino. Gets the inside draw, gets J-Ron Barbosa as well. Things are pretty straightforward with this gelding.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, he's trying the state bred allowance race again here at Laurel Park. 2 back, not a good effort when not getting away at this level. I'm going to draw a line through that start. Rebounded with a good win over a muddy track up there at Parks. When you go back and you look at his other 2 races here at Laurel back in November, that was a 2 lifetime win for 40,000, then came back and just ran 3/4 length at this level behind Most Perfect. Those are good, solid efforts with good, solid numbers. Draws down toward the inside, going this 1 turn mile. That's okay. He's going to be in good position as they come out of the chute under Barbosa.
Pretty cut and dry there underneath. You have the number 2 just right to the outside in your exacta. And Burks for Jamie Ness. Jamie Rodriguez came back an interesting winner 2 back in that starter optional. Yeah,
look, stretching out for Ness. I mean, he's tough when he stretches one out, about 29%. As you mentioned, that was a big race 2 back while sprinting. 83 by her speed figure. Has other races on his form, all while sprinting. But I love when Jamie stretches one out. It usually works for them. He has a good draw. He will be pretty well positioned. I mean, he might even try to put a little pressure on Baton to his inside coming out of those sprint races.
Yeah, I mean, we're in that putting the pressure on. I'm not sure if that's what this gelding wants anymore. So being on the inside, it's going to be really interesting to see what he does. But you're a horse that's coming from sprinting to stretching. Naturally, he's going to be placed a little bit forward. It's just a matter if he mentally is going to be able to handle it this time. You can give an excuse for the off track last time out. So just waiting to see the repeat of what we saw 2 back in that win.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, but he's pressured horses before. It was earlier in his career last summer. He pressured a horse at Delaware while sprinting. Went to the front. At Pimlico. Went to the front at Delaware. So we'll just see how it plays out. But I would not be surprised if he's putting a little push on Baton.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a look at Hard Spun Reason back in May of 2022 at Pimlico. Just got from the 3/8 onward.
Yeah, we're going to pick this one up at the 3/8 pole, Hard Spun Reason. This is May 26th. You see him there. He is the 7 on the fence. This is a maiden 40 event. He runs a big number this day, but he just does everything right. He's coming up the fence. He's taking the worst of it right here. He's being ridden pretty aggressively by Victor Carrasco just to keep him up in the dirt. But then once this gelding gets into clean air, game on, he starts to take off. A little green in the stretch, but he's still a young racehorse. He just wanted to go down there and play with his friends. But then got to business right here. Draws off a big race, 4.5 lengths. He returns off the layoff this afternoon for Graham Motion. The layoff Graham's pretty good at, about 31% as a first-time gelding this afternoon. As I mentioned, that was a good number, 65 by our speed figure that day.
Hard Spun also 16% with his second-time routers, and Hard Spun Reason seems he's gonna fit. I feel like he's gonna fit right into the mold of that. Let's.
Yeah, I see you use the 3, Dolly's Vita.
Sure.
Touch on the 3 because this horse is interesting. Getting back to a fast racetrack this afternoon, just missed 2 starts ago, and look who he ran behind: Rusty's G550 and Frightland. I have Frightland on top on the other half of this, the short version, or the short version of this race, the longer version of this race this afternoon. So he's coming out of a race 2 starts back on a fast racetrack. Looks good to me.
I mean, I'm still referring back to that Charlestown race, and it was still a good idea to just get some pep in his step, but then there was too much. Maybe not so much too much pep into that effort too back at Laurel Park, but I'm also giving him the benefit. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Didn't have the trip last time out. This is a horse that doesn't need to be on the lead, but also can't come from way off of the pace. So just completely wrecked mentally in that last effort out on the wet dirt, no less, which he's showless on. But he also ran against Golden Gully, who was great off the layoff for Gary Cap last out. He didn't get beat great at all. He just essentially got rank and fought Carlos the entire way around, and then essentially got tired from that a little bit.
Yeah, and the question is with speed. Really, there's potential speed in the 1, 2, and 3.
Exactly.
Does it set it up for a horse like Hard Spun Reason, who's going to be probably galloping along there, and Graham's horses always come with some finish, whether it's good enough or not. They always come with some finish.
There we go. Tim Tulloch goes 1-2-7-3. I go 1-3-7-2 there in the 5th race, number 6. Hello Jackpot. We've got that super high 5 carryover that is hitting at a nice effort here. I think it was about 18,000 if we could get that carryover board.
$15,670. $8.
Yes. There we go. 15 grand and coming just a tick over 15 grand coming into that super high jackpot super high 5 there in race number 6 in this allowance optional claiming 55 going 6 furlongs here on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. Scratching the number 2 John the Bear, scratching the number 8 Spun and 1, and all eyes are going to be on Wonder Where Craig Is. Let's take a look back in January of 2022 and just dominating the field there.
Yeah, and this was 4 races ago, but I picked this race for the video spotlight because this was the last time he ran on a fast Laurel Park racetrack. He hooked a muddy racetrack into DeFrancis after he went to Dubai, but this was fast. He got out there, he drew off, he did everything right. He ran a big number that day. He's a graded stakes winner. He's returning from a break. Brittany, very good, about 30%. But this is a horse that runs well off the break.
He runs as an individual.
Yes,
so as
you go very well off the break.
You go from that October effort in the Bold Ruler, and then comes back with a win, as we just saw in the Fire Plug. That's specifically what Tim is talking about and why he brought that race up, because it's coming off. I mean, we're talking about a longer layoff today, but regardless, this horse as an individual, great cold turkey.
Yeah, it comes out, has another break in 2021 from August to the following May. Gets the job done right off the bench. 3 for 5 here at Laurel with 2 seconds. And how about that work last Friday morning? 1 minute and 4/5 from the gate. He looks sharp. Everyone else is hoping that he's not quite ready. But he's always seems to be ready off these layoffs.
Correct.
So, everyone could be running for second if he shows up.
Let's talk about the number 5 who you have in your exacta in Baracho for Jamie Ness. A nice winner last time out, which this is first in the claim. first off, the claim for Jamie Ness with Baracho here today.
Yeah, look, this is a 7-time winner. He's earned $431,000. He's back in the barn of Jamie Ness. Jamie had this horse before, was claimed off of him. He dropped in for him in his last start, which was a good effort. But the last time he ran for Jamie Ness, the day he got claimed, he went 3/4 of a mile and 110 flat, ran a 97 Beyer speed figure that day. Now we're back in the barn with Jamie Ness. We stayed united with Jamie Rodriguez the whole time. Mikey Gorham's not a silly man. He says, Jamie, you can keep riding this one. He runs for you. And so I use this one up underneath for Jamie.
Why not? And we also both include the number 9 Witty for McLean Hendricks, Carol Cedeno. I had it in my head that he was going to scratch today and run tomorrow in the stakes, but he opts to run today.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good move. I think that was probably the right move. I handicapped those Saturday races. By the way, if you haven't looked at Saturday races, get into them because they're challenging.
They are.
For sure. But this will be second off a break. Big return effort up there at Parks in March against some state-bred types. Look, he's going to need his very best. There's no doubt about that. He's going to have to run probably a little faster than he's ever run before, but it sets up well for him. Second off a little bit of a break. He's in a good effort. He's 1 for 2 here at Laurel with a second. So he's just one of those that is hoping that Craig isn't quite ready.
One of those that's hoping Craig isn't ready. He gets an outside post where he can just track the Baracho and Craig and maybe just tactically try and gain a little bit of advantage. But again, going to have to bring his best. But why not? You and I both also include the 1A Chateau for David Jacobson. Gets J. Ron Barbosa here today, breaking out of the 7 post and still going to be gunning for it.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's just kind of a mystery, this horse here. I mean, he can clearly run. Don't make any mistake about it. He's earned $719,000 in his career, but he's coming off a third off of a 6-month break. He has 5 extended breaks on his current form. But he does get back to a fast race today. Oh, throw in the voided claim there, too. I forgot about that one. Voided claim on December 30th. So he's a bit of a mystery. At his best, he's very, very competitive. But even with that said, he's going to have to be at his very best. If Craig shows up, if Baracho shows up, he's going to have to bring it. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. There we go. We'll see who brings it there in race number 6, and that exciting race number 6. Don't forget about that super high 5 jackpot. That is when that race is going on. Race number 7 is another restricted allowance, a mile on the dirt for the 3-year-olds and up. Let's dig in to Frightland, who you and I both have on top for Brittany Russell and Sheldon Russell.
Yeah, this is the second half of the earlier event. This race got split, so the State Breds get to split up here this afternoon. Yeah, Frightland, look, solid efforts over his last 3 with the best figures of his career. Maybe is a pace present, maybe get some pressure from the 7 Captain Quint early, but I expect this one is going to be showing right on out of there under Sheldon Russell. Possibly an easy. I don't think it's going to be an easy lead for sure. I don't think it'll be an easy lead, but I think he's going to be trying to get to the front. And if he can outrun Captain Quint early, then maybe it'll be all right.
He's gritty. I mean, you look at these last 3 runs, as you mentioned, great numbers, but the losses, a neck, 3/4 of a length, a nose. This guy will dig in, and he's going to have Giardani coming up behind him. And let's go ahead and take a look at both of our exactor runners. We're going to take a look back on this last effort on March, going on and coming from off the pace.
Yeah, and Giardani is hoping that Frightland and Captain Quint get into it, because this is how he runs. He was last early. There you see he's a number 2. He's coming up the rail behind a bit of a wall of horses. Jamie Rodriguez starts to tip him out here, and this is a relentless drive by Giardani. If you tell me he's going to win this race here, I'd say no shot. But look, he just keeps on driving. These horses can run a little bit. That's ahead of him. Tate would come back and win out of this race. He needs a little bit of setup. But look at him. He just says, okay, yep, here I am. That's all. I don't need to win by much. I just need to win. It was a good-looking effort. And this is a horse that's been in pretty good form over his last 5 or 6 races. He threw in a clunker back there in December, but the rest of the races have been pretty good. And if he gets that set up and that long stretch going the 1-turn mile today, could be all she wrote for our top two.
That's exactly what I was going to refer to back in the video. So he came with this late effort just to nab it in that last time out. He gets a little bit of extra distance here today, and I think he's really going to enjoy that. So this one's this is why I doubled on my ticket. This one's a dangerous one behind Frightland in our selections. And then we've touched on Captain Quentin so much, but this one a lot to offer, possibly giving Frightland a little bit of pressure here today.
Well, it's interesting. This is a horse that's shown the ability to lay or press or lay. And in his last 3 starts, he's won 2 of them. Just got beat here, going today's distance with a lifetime best figure that particular day. But the 2 races before that, 3 back, going 7/8 of a mile, he was right up on the pace, just laying second, a little bit off. His next race, he goes back 7/8 of a mile. He 5-6 lengths out of it and comes with a run and gets the job done. So it's going to be interesting to see what Carol Cedeno chooses to do. Now, we've watched Carol ride a lot. We know what she likes to do. She likes those horses finishing. She likes to kind of lay, get them out the clean air,
she likes to
and let them come. Yep.
Right behind the pace.
So we'll have to see how that works out. But very, very interesting race in race 7 today.
And in race number 8 is this allowance optional claiming 55,000.
Wow,
5.5 on the turf. Welcome to the turf here, everybody. Tim, let's go ahead and start talking about Mr. Hustle. Let's take a look at Mr. Hustle in that wonderful finish back in October 9th of last year, wrapping up turf season.
Well, here we go. We got Mr. Hustle and Boats A Rockin'. That's Boats A Rockin', the 13, turning for home. He's in front. And Mr. Hustle is the 10, and you're going to see him start. There he is. And this long stretch going 5.5 furlongs here at Laurel Park. Big field. Both these horses are back in today's race. It looks like Boats A Rockin' is home free, and he does eventually win. However, Mr. Hustle doesn't make it easy. He keeps on digging all the way down to that line, and here you come with the finish. They're both 4-1 on the line.
Yep.
They are co-favorites at 4-1. They were really, really hard to separate, but I'm going to start with Mr. Hustle, our top pick. There you go. Look. He's maintained good form all winter running on the dirt. He's not been running poorly. A win 2 starts back, running an 85 by her speed figure, but he gets the turf this afternoon. I love the outside draw, the fact that he's not coming off a layoff. Boats A Rockin' runs well off a layoff, though, so we don't want to forget that. We'll get to him in a minute. But I just have to give him the edge over Boats A Rockin' this afternoon. You go back and you look at some of his turf races, and they're pretty darn good.
Well, here in Maryland, in the beginning of turf season, what you want to do is you want to take who's been running, who's the most fit coming into these first couple of turf races, and then who's running well off of the layoff, which Mr. Hustle, we've covered that, has been running well and is fit. Now let's get to on the inside, Boats A Rockin', who's coming off of the layoff, but is good off the layoff as well.
Yeah, he's good off the layoff. He did it his last winter break from 21 to 22. He went from October to June before he ran, came back with a win. He's a 9-time winner on the grass. He knows what he's doing on the grass. But he has run those races off the break, as we mentioned. He has a fence. He has speed. He's got a couple sharp works coming off of this break, and he's 3 for 4 on the Laurel turf. They were hard to separate. I went with the horse that has been running recently over Boats A Rockin', but either way it goes, it wouldn't surprise me.
Let's talk about Pyron, who you and I have in the mix. Jamie Ness with the weight off. Axel Concepcion, this one is not quite coming off of the layoff, but we saw this one at Turfway Park, claimed over there and then brought into the barn of Jamie Ness. So first time in the barn for Ness. Yeah,
which is always a good thing, about 31%. Look, his races from the fairgrounds, the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, before he went on a little break, they were really, really big races. A 96 by her speed figure in an overnight stake, $100,000 overnight stake, got the win there. The race before that only got beat a length and a half in a stake down at the fairgrounds. Went on a vacation, came back, has never really gotten back into the groove until his 2 most recent races. At least they look like they're a step in the right direction. On the grass down there at the fairgrounds, that was a good effort. Yes, beaten 5 lengths, but the number improved. Tried the synthetic. Okay, who cares? Back on the grass today for Jamie Ness. First time for Jamie Ness. So, boy, you've got to appreciate that, getting Concepcion.
Why don't we talk about who you also have underneath Midday Image? David Jacobson gets Angel Cruz, ran in Tampa, but still coming off of immeasurably enough layoff.
Yeah, look, this is an 11-time winner. He knows how to get the job done on the turf, but he gets the job done mostly going long, and they are good races with good, solid figures. Now, he hasn't been hopeless going short. He's 1 for 2, shows an 82 Beyer speed figure going short. This just reads to me a little bit like, hey, look, this is a good opportunity to get him on the grass. We take what we can get.
Okay.
If it's good enough to win, great. We'll take that. But you get a race on the grass as opposed to working him again on the dirt. Let's get him ready to stretch him back out for the spring-summer session.
Absolutely. Why not? So let's go ahead. That's our wrap-up on our card here for Turf Thursday. And let's go ahead into lightning round. We are going to talk about a couple of points like, Tim, your best bet and your value play of the day. Let's start with your best bet. Race number 2 for Tim.
Yeah, this is a Majestic Frontier for John Robb. Xavier Perez, 5-2 on the line. Third off the break today, coming right back at this same level. Last 2 races have been really, really strong races. I expect improvement this afternoon from that outside draw that he's getting today. He's drawing the fence the last 2 times. We know Xavier will have this one running in the stretch. He gets away well, and I think he can get the job done third time off the break and remaining at the level.
And your value play, it's a Rob day for you. Your value play is in race number 4, Grass Cutter with Rob here, coming off of a little bit of an improve from and getting that win 2 back.
Yeah, I get Louis Rivera here getting a little bit of the weight, but 2 back of Broke Her Maiden going 2 turns, gets 2 turns again this afternoon, gets that inside draw, has speed. We know how valuable that inside draw is here at Laurel Park. I expect her to be going right to the front, catch me if you can situation, and 6-1 on the line.
It's a bit of old news, but we wanted to quickly congratulate one of our own here in Maryland. Congratulations to both Toledo and Russell on their first graded 1 stakes win in the Carter at Aqueduct, going 7 furlongs. Can you believe it? A $17.90 payoff, for a Brittany Russell and Toledo runner. What a wonderful go for us.
It was a big race, and you see them turning for home right here, and they certainly were not hanging around. They got 3/4 in 9 and change this day, and here he comes. He's going to run them all down toward the outside. This was a good-looking effort, and look, they ran fast. They ran 1:23 and 2. That's a fast 7/8 of a mile up there at Laurel Park. And there's been kind of talk, and I could take exception, well, it wasn't that tough a race. Really? Repo Rocks had run a 96 in his race before and ran 111 by her speed figure in the toboggan. Today's Flavor coming out of a 99. Bull Journey, 96. Little Vic, 102. He beat them all. Time will tell if he's this type of horse, but he's in the Brittany barn. That was a good-looking effort, and I wouldn't take a thing away from that race, period.
I couldn't believe it was a $17.90 winner, but a big-time congratulations, well-earned by not only Russell and Toledo, but the whole team behind Doppelganger and the Brittany Russell barn. So we'll be excited to see what they have for us in the future and in store. Let's talk about not the stakes action coming up this Saturday, but next Saturday. I just wanted to quickly touch on the nominations that we have, gearing up to be a little bit interesting. 30 noms in the Native Dancer with Armando R, Nimitz Class, Our Nation on Parade, Van Scholar, Tax, and Seafoam. In the Premonetta, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. 19 nominees with 2 nice Butch Reed runners in Dr. B, Disco Ebo, and of course Jerry Robb. Forget about it. Princess Kokachin, Street Loot, Proper Tire, and then of course Moody Woman as well. The King T, Leatherberry, 5.5 on the turf. Attracts 39 nominees there, including Grateful Bread. That's right. Can the Queen, Breezy Gust, and then also wanted to include the Dahlia. Attracts 35 with Deciding Vote. Coconut Cake, Can the Queen, who's nominated. That's the second nomination for Can the Queen. And then Euro Stakes winners in Malafath, Sopran Belicia, and a multiple grade stakes winner in Bipartisanship. And then of course the Henry Clark 1-turn mile there on the turf attracts 34 nominees as well in English B. Mr. Hustle, who is running here today, and then European Imports Flopshot and Royal Patronage.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing if Nimitz Class makes it here. It would be 4 stakes in a row here, 3 or 4 stakes in a row. If he comes and can get the job done here, he's in very, very good form. But look, it's springtime. We're getting closer and closer to Preakness. Stakes weekend this weekend, the weekend coming up the 22nd. So there's just nothing but great action here in the spring in Maryland.
Action April here in Maryland. We're going to take it to Dave Rodman for some more changes and scratches.